The screen switched. Still in the Jiwoo residential area. Inside the house as usual there is a lot of cat food scattered around, and they are sleeping on the floor. Upstairs near the stairs, he looks glum and lackluster. Then the cats woke up, went up to the second floor, and they were concerned to see Jiwoo moping alone. Seeing Jiwoo's face worried about something, they immediately approached Jiwoo to tell him not to worry too much. He was happy to see the two of them supporting him, but he was still worried about Kaden because his recovery was so slow after receiving such an injury. The skinny cat explained that Kaden was seriously injured after fighting the top 10, and he was also now being hunted by the other top 10, a very bad situation. Hearing that, Jiwoo could only bow his head and still hope that Kaden could recover quickly, because it had been days since he had recovered. The skinny cat could only encourage Jinwoo, so that he wouldn't keep blaming himself. While chatting, suddenly they heard Kaden's noisy voice. Jiwoo immediately stood up and saw Kaden walking out of the house. After being asked where he was going, Kaden replied that he wanted to sunbathe. They felt sad to see Kaden trembling while walking. The house area lights were on, indicating that it was getting night. Jiwoo panicked because Kaden hadn't returned since morning, and Kaden hadn't even eaten his chew. Hearing chew, they were shocked by the situation. Usually Kaden never leaves before eating his chew. Continuing, Jiwoo opened the door to look for Kaden. On the street he looked here and there and saw something over the fence. Jiwoo looked at the neighbor's fence, and it turned out that Kaden was relaxing on the fence. Then Jiwoo approached Kaden asking why he hadn't come home all day, and he gave Kaden's favorite chew. Kaden enjoyed a healthy and nutritious meal. Jiwoo felt calm because nothing happened to Kaden. He continued to watch Kaden eat the chew. While eating, Jiwoo asked about Kaden's condition, and he felt guilty for not having healing powers like Karteen, and hoped to help Kaden in his healing. On the other hand, Kaden did not answer Jiwoo's questions. He just ate his chew. Jiwoo panicked and was shocked by Kaden's silence. Then Jiwoo took Kaden home and called Karteen and Pluton. With tears in his eyes, Jiwoo told them that Kaden was in trouble. They were shocked and didn't understand what the problem meant. Jiwoo explained that Kaden did not answer when spoken to. The other cats approached Kaden, but didn't seem to recognize Kaden. Kaden automatically felt disturbed and roared. The skinny cat was shocked at Kaden's behavior. Kaden continued to howl like a normal cat, and was uncomfortable. They were all saddened to see Kaden's very strange behavior. Kaden continued to roar at the other cats in the house. Then he jumped to hide himself. Everyone was even more surprised, seeing Kaden who could not control his body. And Kaden looked like a mindless cat. They wondered if this was the effect of his unhealed wound. So, he lost his mind and completely turned into a cat. Then the skinny cat explained that the change from human to cat had a side effect. That when he was in cat form, he didn't need to use any strength, but when he was in human form, he needed a lot of energy. And if he uses too much energy, he will automatically return to cat form. Then the skinny cat has a theory. If it's true, then Kaden won't be able to return to his original form. Jiwoo was shocked to hear that and didn't seem to believe it could happen. In a panic, Jiwoo asked how to bring Kaden back. The skinny cat replied, it was very difficult, because in cat form Kaden could not use force control. Then they thought that Kaden would end up like this. Kaden was seen still letting out a roar, and they are still looking at Kaden with deep sadness. Jiwoo still can't believe Kaden's condition. Likewise with the Gastella behind him, all of them looked at Kaden with faces that couldn't believe it could happen. Then they tried one by one to resuscitate Kaden, but Kaden remained in his general cat nature, still roaring. Jiwoo began to shed tears. He tried to remind Kaden about the first time they met, like playing together, laughing together and needing each other. Jiwoo couldn't hold back the tears and cried right then and there. When Jiwoo cried, suddenly there was a familiar voice and made them all turn around. And it turns out there is a cat talking, and it looks like Kaden. Jiwoo, Pluto and Karteen were silent and shocked. Likewise with Gastella, who only glared at Kaden. All of them were confused to see two cats that looked very similar. Then Jiwoo pointed to the cat in front of him who it was. Then Kaden explained that it was the form of the cat he was imitating. Jiwoo sobbed, holding back tears of happiness, and immediately hugged Kaden with a happy feeling. Kaden was confused and asked, what exactly happened? Jiwoo replied, he thought Kaden turned into a cat completely due to being seriously injured. On the other hand, Vistella felt she had been pranked and decided to leave. Certain and Pluton panicked, having given the wrong information. And Kaiden looked at them both threateningly.